Day 676 being Christopher Cruz. I was just reading the Bible and I read a lot. I'm reading Romans and it's like deep, it's super deep. And there's this part that says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. So I've been like sitting with this for the last 30 or 45 minutes, like looking up like what these things mean. Like to be justified means to be redeemed. To be glorified means to be honored or praised as divine, to become great. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, in all things, God works for the good of those who are called. In all things, God works for the good of those who've been called according to his purpose. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm here to lead the people who've been called. And in all things, God works for the good of those who've been called. So it doesn't matter what you're going through, it's all for your good. It could be something horrible. Like I was just talking to someone, they just got laid off from their job. And it's like they are called. And so God is rearranging things in their life. And it's like those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. So those he predestined, those that he picked ahead of time, he called them. He's calling them to be who he created them to be. Those he called, he also justified. So he called them to be who they're created to be. And he's also redeeming them. He's also forgiving them. He's also making them worthy. And those he is redeemed, he's justified. He also glorified. Those he's lifting up, he's helping them become great. And so it's like in all things, God works for the good of those who have been called. We are being called, we are being redeemed, and we're being glorified. And those that he called, he will make them great. So, these are the notes that I have going on. And I'm just sitting with this like, okay, wow. In all things, God works for the good of those who have been called according to his purpose. So it's like I am meant to go out there and find those people that have been called according to his purpose. They have been called to go out there and do God's work and lead people back to God. They've been called to do that because they're already predestined for it. It's already in their heart and soul. They're predestined. It's their purpose. And what are the odds that I'm a freaking purpose coach? In all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Well, when you find your purpose, you realize your purpose is his purpose. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. And for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. It's like the people that I'm meant to go after, they are predestined to be conformed to the image of Jesus. They have these hearts full of love. You know, they're different than other people out there. There's something unique about them. There's something different about them. They've got this greatness inside of them. They've got this massive heart that's full of so much love. And they've got this bright, shining light inside of them. And so those are the people I'm meant to help. Those are the people I'm meant to find. And I was just taking more notes because God's just revealing a lot. But the people that I really want to target are the believers that are here to lead people back to God. They want to lead people back to God in their own unique way. I know it's hard to take myself seriously with my hair like that. It just won't without product. But anyway, believers that are here to lead people back to God, those are the people that I'm looking for. The chosen, the called, the predestined. Because those are going to be the people who are going to be glorified. And there's 4,124 of them. That's the number that God gave me, 4,124 of these called people. And it is my job to bring the greatness out of the greatest. And I just realized this. I'm here to speak to the masses, but lead the few. Like I'm meant to speak to the masses but lead the few, and the few that I'm leading are the greatest. And it's my job to bring the greatness out of the greatest so they can lead people back to God, and collectively we can all lead people back to God and live according to God's purpose. Like if you know you've been called, if you know you're a part of God's purpose, then in all things God works for the good of those people. In all things, everything that's happening in your life, even the worst, most frustrating, scary, horrible things, he's working in your life for your good. It is for your benefit that he's doing that. It might not feel like it in the moment, but it is for your benefit because you are called according to his purpose. He's already predestined you. He's already like stamped it on your soul what you're here to do. So now he's calling you. And those who are called, they're going to be justified. So once you realize you're called, you're going to be justified. You're going to be redeemed. You're going to be forgiven. You're going to be cleansed. And then those who are justified, he's going to glorify. He's going to make you great. Like I'm being called. Like I know I'm predestined. I've known that for a long time. I've always known I've got this greatness inside of me. There's something that I am meant to do in this world that is massive, and I've met so many people that are like that. So I've always known that I've been predestined, but now he's calling me. I'm in the calling process, right? He's calling me to go out there and do his purpose. And so I'm in that calling state, and I'm getting more direction and more clarity on what he's actually calling me to do. Not what I want to do, but what I'm called to do. And he's taking me through this justification period, this redemption period, this purifying period, so then he can lift me up into greatness, and I can be glorified in him and through him and for him. This is crazy. What time is it? It's 4 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything today. I've not had a single bite of any kind of food today. I've just been, I've been going. Yeah. Like to be called by God, to be predestined by God. There couldn't be any greater honor in the universe than to be chosen by God, to be predestined by God, to be called by God. Like if you knew that he predestined you to express his purpose to the world, like, can you even imagine how much greatness you really have inside of you? Can you even fathom the level of greatness that you have inside of you, that God chose you for this? And not only did he choose you for it, he designed you for it. You're predestined for it. It was in you before you were even born. He crafted it into your spirit, into your soul, when he was creating you hair by hair, cell by cell. He was crafting greatness inside of you. You are handcrafted and hand-created by God to be great, to be glorified, to be justified, to be called, to be predestined, and to express God's purpose to the world. This is why, like, I've always felt like I've got greatness inside of me, and it's been so frustrating because I haven't been able to live into that greatness. And now I know that greatness. Like, here's the thing: predestined to be conformed to the image of his son. Like, the people that I'm meant to help, they are predestined to be conformed to the image of his son. They're predestined to be conformed to the image of Jesus. Like, these people, they have the hearts, they have the minds, they have the power, they have the will, they have the spirit, they have the connection with God. They just don't know it. They're not aware of it, or they're not tapped into it. Like, I'm just learning how to tap into it. But to be chosen by God, to be predestined, It's like that means that at no point in your existence have you ever not been destined for greatness. You were predestined for it. When God was creating you, he was designing you for greatness. He was designing you for your destiny. And the enemy wants to come in and make us doubt our greatness. Because the enemy's a liar and he's a master at getting us to doubt our greatness. But when you're predestined and you are chosen by God to fulfill his purpose in the world, and that you're predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, Jesus, there's no greater humans in this world. Those are warriors. Those are warriors of God. Those are warriors of light. And those are the people that I'm meant to find and bring the greatness out of the greatest. Imagine if there were 4,124 powerful people in alignment with God out there leading the world back to God. Imagine if there were 4,124 people that were predestined to be conformed to the image of Jesus. And that God was justifying and calling and glorifying and lifting up, and that everything that happened in their lives, in all things, God works for the good of those people. That everything that's happening in their life was actually for their good. Everything that was happening, God was lifting them up and glorifying them. And so they had this level of faith of knowing that everything that is happening to me is for my greatness. God is doing this for me so that I can fulfill his purpose that he has for me, that he predestined for me so I could be who he predestined and called me to be. That's why the people that I'm meant to help are the people that know they have greatness inside of them. They can't explain it. They don't know where it comes from. It's just this deep inner knowing that I am here to do something great. And the reason they haven't lived into that greatness is because they are here to do something great for God, not great for themselves, right? Those people, they're typically trying to build a business, or they're trying to be really successful at a company, or they're trying to do this, or they're trying to do that. I think very few of those people are actually pursuing God and leading people back to God. But that's what we're meant to do. If you have greatness inside of you, you are here to lead people back to God. That is what you are meant to be best at in your own unique way. God gave you special and unique gifts to lead people back to God in your own unique way. That is what you are here to do. But we use our gifts to be successful at worldly things rather than spiritual things. We use our gifts to work for the enemy rather than to work for God. You know, we use those gifts to work for a paycheck, to work for status and success and wealth and recognition and acknowledgement and achievement and awards and ceremonies and all this bullshit. We're using God's gifts that he gave us to work for the enemy when we are meant to use those gifts that God gave us to build the kingdom of God and to lead his children back to him. That is what we are here to do. And that's why in all things God works for the good of those who've been called according to his purpose. And those people will be glorified by God. God will lift them up. God will take that light. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. God will put us on a hill so we can shine brightly to the world. Because that is what we're meant to do. We are meant to shine our lights and lead people back to God. We are the lighthouses in the storm. That is why we are here. And those are the people that I am meant to go out and find and lead. I am meant to be a lighthouse for those people. What? Wow. Wow, that gives me so much clarity. Because 8 billion lions, the whole reason I called it 8 billion lions, because my vision was to live in a world where everyone was being a lion, all 8 billion of us. I'm not meant to go after 8 billion people. I'm meant to go after 4,124 people. And those people aren't normal people. Those are believers who know they have greatness inside of them and that are here to lead people back to God. Those are the warriors of God. And I am meant to build an army. That's what I'm here to do. So collectively, we can shine our light in this world and give the glory to God and lead billions of people back to God. Lead billions of souls back to their Father, back to our Creator. I mean, just look at the impact that Jesus had with 12 disciples. Imagine the impact if there were 4,124 disciples. If all of us, all 4,124 of us, could shine our lights the way the 12 disciples did. Darkness wouldn't stand a chance. Evil wouldn't stand a chance. The enemy would flee. But that's why there's an attack on those people. That's why the enemy attacks those people aggressively with fear and self-doubt and self-hatred and overthinking and procrastination and unhealthiness and all these different things. The enemy attacks them because we are predestined. We are predestined, which means that we were born with a target on our back. Because when we were born, the enemy knew that this is a warrior of God. This person is destined for greatness. This person is destined to express God's purpose to the world. So we must attack that person. And it's no accident that these people, these 4,124 people, I guarantee that almost every single one of them had a tough childhood. They had some crazy shit happen to them or some horrible shit happen to them ever since they were a kid, because the enemy has been attacking them since the day they were born. And the enemy knows that if I can attack them young, I can hold them back the rest of their lives. If I can get in their minds while their mind is still developing, if I can get into their hearts while their hearts are open, if I can destroy them and discourage them while they're young, I can hold them back their entire lives and they can never live into their purpose that God created for them. They will hold themselves back the rest of their lives if I can attack them while they're young. Because we are walking around with targets on our backs. Because we're destined for greatness. It's just like in any kind of sport game. Any kind of sport game? In any kind of sport. The greatest players have a target on their back. The greatest players are the ones that get double teamed by the opponent, right? So the enemy double, quadruple, quintuple teamed us since the day that we were born. So we've gone through these attacks. We've been hurt. We've been let down. We've been used. We've been abused. We've been all of these different things. But that doesn't stop the fact that we still know that we've got greatness inside of us. We still know that there is something there that we are meant to do in the world that is massive. We still haven't given up on ourselves. We still know, we still have hope. That light is still shining. For some of us, it's a bonfire. For some of us, it's a flickering candle. For some of us, it's a forest fire. But we know that light is inside of us. That's crazy. I just did that. I put my foot down and lifted up the light when I said that. And it's my job to go find those 4,124 people and help them find their purpose and lead them back to God. And for us to work together as a family, as brothers and sisters, and as children of God to lead people back to God in the most powerful ways ever imagined. That's what we're here to do. Every single one of us is destined for greatness, and He will glorify us. God will glorify us. We don't need to glorify ourselves or each other. We don't need to be glorified by people. God will glorify us. And He will also justify us. He will redeem us. He will cleanse us. He will purify us. It's our destiny. So it is my job to go out there and find all of these greatest souls in the world and pull them out of hiding, pull them out of their caves, even if they have to come kicking and screaming, so they can step into the light and realize who they are. So then they can go stand on the mountaintop and shine their light in the darkest place in the world. What's interesting is when you're in a cave and it's pitch black, and if you're light, you're shining and you're lighting up the cave. But a cave is small, it's cramped. There's not very many things in it, right? There's no people in caves, there's just you in a cave. But when you step out of the cave and you shine your light, the world can see it. And that's scary, because if the world can see you, that means the world can judge you. And I think the greatest fear that most of these warriors of God have is the fear of being judged by people, because they will be judged. Jesus said, people will hate you for following me. And we have this fear of being judged. We have this fear of not being liked. We have this fear of being rejected. And so we hide. No more hiding. Wow. I'm here to build an army of the most powerful souls in the world that God has predestined for greatness and for his purpose. Wow. How's that for some clarity? Amazing.